Welcome to Your Ink Story, a podcast exploring what humans have in common through the stories behind the body art folks wear. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, and I hope these INKspirational short stories, sharing the heart behind tattoos, fascinate you and leave you feeling more meaningfully connected to humanity. This is Season 1, Episode 18, and our guest is Jaime Salcedo, a talented tattoo artist, a New York City firefighter, a Brooklyn native, and the founder of an innovative all-natural numbing cream product he just launched called Painless Picasso. Jaime got his first tattoo at the age of 16 and began his tattoo artist journey at the age of 17. And you will love the inspirational stories and insights from Jaime's extraordinary lived experiences. Welcome to Your Ink Story, Jaime. I'm so delighted you're here to share your ink story. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Ande?
I'm so excited that you're here. Before we dive into tattoos, and listeners, we're not only talking to someone who has tattoos, he is a tattoo artist himself. We're going to get some great stories out of him. But Jaime, you wear many hats and are serving the world with an abundance of your talents and gifts. Let folks know what you're up to.
That's a great way of putting it. I'm just staying busy. I'm doing the best I can. I have committed my life to service of others. I've been a tattoo artist 13 years. I've been a New York City firefighter for the last 7 years. I did 2 years EMS prior to being a firefighter also. Yeah, and I actually recently formulated a all-natural organic numbing cream that numbs the skin prior to tattooing, piercing, waxing, micropigmentation. If it deals with skin and pain, we're going to numb it. At Painless Picasso, we're perfecting the art of numbing solutions.
Oh my gosh, I love that tagline, something fierce. Listeners, his company is called Painless Picasso. We're going to have all the links in the show notes. Any of you who were thinking, oh, I can't get another tattoo, it's too painful, I think you're going to have wonderful experiences with this product. But we're going to talk more about that later. And side note, listeners, Jaime's talking to me from the firehouse right now. And let's all take a moment and just send good energy Jaime's way, because he was a first responder throughout COVID in the city of Brooklyn, right?
In Brooklyn, yeah, the borough.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all over New York, but I'm stationed in Brooklyn.
Yeah. So we all can just send Jaime great energy and huge gratitude for the first responder action and the risks you took to save people and help your city and our people. So Jaime, there you were minding your own business. What happened when you said, I am going to get me a tattoo? And then we're going to talk about what compelled you to become an artist in the tattoo industry. First, let's talk about what excited you about getting a tattoo and wearing body art.
Well, my father was a graffiti artist growing up, right? He grew up in the Bronx, Dominican. My mother's Puerto Rican. So the art really flowed from my father. So I got that part of it. Probably one of the only good things I probably got from it. But it is what it is. When he was there, he gave me some insight into the art world and the background, the culture. And then me getting my first one was like a rite of passage. I was 17 when my father took me to get my tattoo. And it was cool. You know, I got this Dominican, Puerto Rican flag, my cultures. It's kind of like in a tribal cross. It was a pretty big piece for my first tattoo.
Listeners, we'll have a photo. Jaime will send us a photo to put into the IG reel, because it wasn't just a sweet little something, right? A small patch just to begin with. It looks like it's almost your entire forearm.
No, it is. Yeah, it is my entire forearm. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I never told anybody this, right? I'm gonna be a little more transparent in this episode. I'm feeling comfortable. Where towards the end of this tattoo, I started feeling like woozy a little bit. I never told anybody that. I started feeling a little woozy. I was like, I'm not feeling too good, you know, like I don't know what it was. I was there for at least 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, of course your body was like, hello, nobody's told me about this, that this was going to be happening, all your nerves, everything.
Yeah.
And then the brain starts going a little firing, going, how much longer are we going to be going through this? Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. We hear that quite a few times, don't we, listeners, from the guests? And so then I can see that genetically you were inclined in your DNA to have some artistic capability. What made you think that you'd like to go into the industry of tattoo artistry, where that would be the way you would bring your creativity to life?
So I was always drawing growing up, and I never really took it serious until I was 17 years old, I remember. And I just graduated. Well, I wouldn't say even graduated high school. I actually dropped out, got my GED, and went to college, like the same, like in my junior year, right? Which was
Congratulations,
yeah. I
smarty
mean,
pants.
it was all right. It was like I was just over school, metal detectors, New York. I was like, I'm over it. I just couldn't do it anymore. But then I went right back into school. I started tattooing at 17 years old. I was walking down the block. I could remember it like it was yesterday, right? This was a summer day, right? And it had to be around June. That's when school is done. And I remember walking down the block and I heard tattoos, tattoos, and I was looking around like, where is this? And I look up and it what was going to be my mentor, right? Paulie was on the fire escape of the block that I lived on. And they had just opened the shop not too long before that. And I just went up there and I started talking to him. I already had my tattoo by then. And so, yeah, from there, I was at the shop, chilling out, watching what's going on. And then it just got to a point I realized I was like, I think I could do this. That was the rock star life. I lived there practically for 2 years. The front area was the business, but the back area had like a loft apartment going on back there. So he would just leave me the keys and just be like, yo, do your thing. I'll be back at the end of the week to collect. You know what I mean? Like that was really it. And I had at 17, I had a tattoo shop just sitting there making money and drinking, partying. It was.
And plus you had to hustle for the clients.
Yes. Yes.
It's really serious business. How does someone train for this? How does someone even get comfortable picking up a needle and drawing? Like, what is the beginning process, Jaime? What did you do? And I know yours was a little less structured, but how did you get comfortable with putting something permanently on someone's body?
I would watch my mentor. I've seen his techniques, and every artist will tell you, you have to be around other artists to improve. The setup and everything that you see going on in the tattoo industry, everybody has their own way of doing things. But for the most part, it's a standard approach. Everybody has the fundamentals, as far as cross-contamination and things like that. When you start taking it seriously, initially, it was just more of experimenting, getting it right. For your first 2 years, a traditional apprenticeship is what I recommend a person do. Go to a person, and you got a lot of like YouTube artists and all that, which is all right. Some of them are really good, really great. And if that works for you, then it works. But if it's not working, then you should definitely be seeking out a mentor and somebody that can really give you a grasp of the industry.
That's great. And so there's all different stories about how artists come to put body art on somebody. As you got more involved, did you build up a name for yourself? How does that go?
Especially in my neighborhood. So I grew up in East New York, Brownsville, and it was the way the community is, the culture is predominantly Black, right? So all my clients were initially all Black people for the most part. Tattooing on that type of skin, you have to know exactly how. And I learned very quickly. So when I started getting to lighter skin, I was like, oh, there's a lot more that you can kind of play with. And, I'm open to it. Some people just don't like tattooing dark skin, which is kind of like a cop out,
A total cop out.
Yeah,
I mean, melatonin is melatonin.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm open to providing services to all people. I don't care, just because there's a glare in the camera and some people feel like it doesn't look the same. Like, so what? I don't care. It's art is art. And that's what gave me kind of the edge, because I grew up my community, the community I lived in, and then branched out. A lot of people do it vice versa. They'll just go somewhere, set up camp, be a transplant when they haven't built a community yet.
That's right. In episode 4, we had Chris, a Black man who, same thing, was able to show us in his tattoos the different shading that was used and how the artist brought red to the skin and brought color. It requires more in-depth artistic talent, because it's how you're using the shading that brings out the piece. So I applaud you.
You need to avoid more space with dark skin. And there's a certain technique that you need to have. You have to have the proper ink also. You need a darker ink, So it's just little things like that, little tricks of the trade that you pick up as you go along to ensure that the tattoo is more vibrant than, the average.
And thank you for taking care of a population of folks who have some beautiful tattoos and bringing that body art to life on their skin. And as you evolved, what did you learn about the clients? Because they're with you for a period of time and you're up close and personal. You are touching their skin.
Yeah.
What is that like? What have you learned about human nature that has helped you evolve as a person?
So what I've noticed with my clients, and I'm at the point, I'm 34 now. I have people's kids turning 18 coming to me. I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this a while now. In that aspect, I'm blessed, with the opportunity to have that intimate experience with people. And that's being eradicated in today's world with social media, and it's hard, and people seek that. To me, now this is where I'm getting into like the behavioral aspect of things,
Sure.
where people might just use tattoos as an excuse to just have a conversation with people.
Absolutely. Massage therapists will tell you this all the time. This is the first time I've been touched by someone in a
Yeah,
while. My partner died, or something happened, or I'm alone, I'm isolated. It's the same thing to go in and have that conversation with someone who is in the space and putting art on your body. I think it's really powerful what you do,
yeah,
Jaime.
thank you. I appreciate that. It took me time. Initially, again, the rock star life, 17 years old in the shop, right? No discipline, just running the streets, the hood type mentality. And I'm truly so grateful to the fire department of New York City for instilling some discipline in me and really creating a man with values.
How did you get picked up by the New York City Fire
Well, you don't get
Department?
picked up. You put in an application and you almost die for 6 months at this academy on Randall's Island. And then, yeah, you're initiated into the creed.
Well, that's what I mean. You have to apply and they have to decide. So that's like,
It's a long process. It's
oh,
such a long process. I think there was like 20 or 30,000 applicants. And I got in. I
Jaime,
got in. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough process. It's not easy. It's not easy. Every
well,
year, there's only 2 classes a year. And
how old were you when you decided to do that?
I was 26 when I got on.
So you had a lot of your rock star days behind you. And there must have been something that you said, I'm going to apply. I may not get in at all because there's so many applications, but
Yeah, well, it was my journey. Like I've always been spiritual and God fearing in that sense of just universality. I don't have a specific doctrine that I follow, but I've read them all. Like there's no way that you're not going to read the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran or all these texts from ancient times. They're the oldest books. You're reading all these other books, all these new books, but you're not going to go to the original ones. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So I've always been deep into the spiritual aspect of life and taking on different disciplines. And there was a point where I got tired and I felt like I needed to be of more service to people. And that's when I became an EMT. And then naturally I drifted into the fire department.
excellent, excellent, excellent journey. These are lived experiences that right now someone's listening to your story and they're going to be inspired to do something similar. And you're right. When we have a deeper calling in life and we say yes to it, that's when some magic and miracle moments can happen. So I am so grateful too that you said yes and you wanted more and you went out and found a great place and space that would add value to who you are, because at the age of 34 you have so much more to bring to us, which you will do in many different ways over the decades. And right now you've got a nice combination between firefighter, tattoo artist, and now business owner, which is very exciting. Let's talk a little bit about the tattoos that you've done to date. Which was the most spectacular one that you've done that just was really difficult, but you said, dang, that
Yeah.
challenged me and I nailed it?
Yeah, knocked it out. Well, I'm working on a back piece right now that's pretty big, right? So that's going to be a big portfolio piece. So I'm not posting that. When that comes out, that's going to be a big one. But other than that, I got a few pieces, like photorealistic pieces that I've done that I look at and I'm like, did I just do that? I love to challenge myself. But again, it's now, as of recently, the last 6 months, I haven't even really been able to tattoo like that. I've been focusing so much on Painless Picasso that if I'm doing a tattoo, it's going to be some kind of content in regards to bringing the company some more media. But yeah, tattooing takes a lot of time, and I still have clients. I have a backlist of people that I got to tattoo. It's crazy. But
And
I got to
you
be.
have this wonderful picture of you. You have a neck tattoo.
I have my whole neck,
Oh my
the
gosh.
back, all the way around the wraps.
And tell us a little bit about that. And if listeners, the reason I know this is that I can just hop onto Jaime's wonderful Instagram feed, and the link will be in the show notes. So don't you worry, but it's at B as in boy, KND N as in Nancy, ATIVE NYC. So BK for Brooklyn, native NYC.
You got it.
On Instagram, you can see the wonderful picture of Jaime, but also the wonderful art that he's brought to the world. And how has that been, bringing your art onto Instagram and having to do that part of promotion for your work and sharing that? Has that,
it's gotten easier over the years, honestly. Like Instagram is, and the way that they've integrated all these little, ways of making posting a lot convenient. It's easy. I've been on Instagram for years, so that aspect of things actually helps, as in everything else that I do with the new company. And so running the Instagram, it pretty much runs itself. I get referrals off of it. People just randomly go and find my page. Hey, you're in Brooklyn. So yeah, I have a wait right now. I'm like,
yay.
You're not going to get tattooed by me for like 2 months if I don't know you. I could probably get you in. This is just an honest thing. When an artist, look, I'm going to say a secret, and I know they're going to be mad at me. I don't even care. Tattoo artists, if they tell you they're booked for some of them really are. I'm not going to lie. Some of them are really booked for months on end. But for the most part, if they want to tattoo you, they're going to tattoo you. It's all crap. They just want to look like, oh, yeah, I'm booked for 6 months to a year.
But how'd you make the decision on the artist who was going to tattoo your neck?
Oh, well, going from different shops, starting out initially before I opened up my own and all that. It's being around other artists. And that's just what we do. It's like, all right, I want to get this tattoo. All right, I'll tattoo you now. You tattoo me next week. And that's really it. And that's what I love about the community. It's just like, hey, we got an off day. Let's get tattooed.
And so the opposite of the one that, like your back, that your masterpiece that you're pulling together right now, what in your career as a tattoo artist was that moment you went, oh my God, that just did not go well?
Did not go well. Okay. I'll give you one. I didn't have many, honestly.
I'm sure there was, and I'm sure not going well is at a degree of not going well, but it wasn't your favorite.
But to be honest, if I look back at the work I used to do, all of it is probably, oh my God, I can't imagine looking at, some people come up to me and they're like, hey, you did this tattoo. And I'm like, when did I do that? Oh my God. They're not terrible, but again, it's just technique and things like that. If I was to execute it now, it would be totally, different. But there was one time, and it wasn't my fault. They gave me a date, and that's one thing that I always do. And honestly, the whole date and name thing, I'll give you a little insight as to how I coach clients and in consultations as to the artwork. Because names and dates I'm over it. I've been doing so many of those things, and it's played out. That being said, she gave me the date, and I asked her before I was getting a tattoo, the stencil, everything. This is the date. Make sure you confirm it to go to whoever you got to do. This is the date. All right. You sure this is it? This is what I do now. Anytime, name, date, I'm nailing them. This is it, right? This is it. Make sure, go check it. And then before that needle hits you, I ask you one more time. This is your final time. And she still went with it. And then I think it was midway tattoo. Luckily, it got fixed because I think it was a 1 and it needed to be a 7 or something like that.
Oh, so thank God.
She got lucky. She got lucky that was the switch.
Because I saw on TikTok a woman who, when the guy was done, he left a letter out.
Yes, I've just seen that recently. Was it?
It was supposed to be ever.
Yes. It was hilarious, actually.
And she actually was like, you know what? I even like it better.
Exactly.
But the look of horror.
Whatever. It's a good story. He was mortified.
Right? You could see it. He was like, oh my God.
Yeah, because essentially it really is his fault, though. You got to double check things.
It's such a responsibility. I don't think people understand as much as they should, even with LA Ink and all the different shows out there, Ink Masters and stuff. People really don't understand some of the artistry that comes out of these tattoo artists like yourself, especially as they refine, they find what they're going to specialize in, etc. It's amazing artwork.
There's a lot of great artists out there.
Well, folks, we are back. The alarm went off and Jaime had to literally be his first responder self and leave. Boom. But he's back and we have a few more questions for this phenomenal tattoo artist, firefighter, founder, etc. And so, Jaime, you have been in the tattoo industry for 13 plus years.
Yep.
You've seen perceptions beginning to change around tattoos from looking at people like, ooh, motorcycle gang or a hood gang or, sketchy, all of that stuff. You're seeing some evolvement into the artistry and the individuality and the expression and the touchstones and the ink therapy that comes from putting ink on your body. What would you like to see continue to happen for those who are wearing tattoos, as well as those who are looking at folks and wondering about tattoos and judging people who have tattoos?
Well, that kind of old school dinosaur mentality that's still out there, it's changed. It's changed drastically. And we can thank the medical professionals, the doctors, the lawyers that started getting tattoos and bringing it into these other areas.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that doctors and lawyers have tattoos. Come on.
No, I've got to go find me some.
Yeah, I mean, I could send you a couple of people that I know already. Yeah, like big execs. They are more conservative. They're not hitting their hands. They're not hitting their neck.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's the upgrade when you're established, like myself. And the thing is, a big hindrance of mine, and I wouldn't even call it because I don't really want to touch my face and go like crazy with tattoos. It's not my aesthetic, but I could see how people still navigate that way, where they're not going to hit their necks, they're not going to hit their hands. And even nowadays, I'll tell you, when people come to me without any tattoos, I tell them like, yo, take your time.
This is the perfect segue into your wonderful new product, Painless Picasso. So, Jaime, what prompted you and compelled you to go this route? Because listeners, if you don't know this, I'm a 5 times founder, and one of my businesses had inventory, had hard products. And so
I'm sure it's not easy. It's a nightmare.
It's never easy. It's one thing if you have something that people can download, right? But if you have something that requires shelf life, requires packaging, requires inventory, it's a whole different ball game. How did you come up with the idea for the numbing cream and why?
So, okay. Well, it started 2 years ago, right? Let's go back. I had a shoulder injury, I had a fire, it never was the same, my shoulder. And so I went and got it checked out. I had to get surgery on the shoulders. This was less than 6 months ago. I got the surgery and I had time. For 2 years, people have been asking me about numbing creams, right? Like, and I would just put it on the back burner, like, all right, whatever, go get whatever you want to use. But I heard all the reviews and I can contest to what the numbing creams do to the skin. It does alter it. Pharmaceutical grade, okay? Not Painless Picasso, not the all natural organic ingredients that we use. I looked into it and I was able to go down the rabbit hole. I looked into the high dosages that they're using that are not in code with GMP standards, all the certs and badges that we have that we're establishing, the relationships we're establishing with the FDA. I have a FDA clinical trials expert on my advisory board. It's really just having a all natural organic alternative to pharmaceutical grade numbing creams that are on the market now.
Wonderful.
I went into it naive. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to run this company and then I just started going and things just started building and more. And I started learning more. Part of it also is having the intention, right? Like my intention was pure from the beginning. I found out that the tattoo industry is being taken advantage of by all these companies that are not in compliance. So look up the articles, the lidocaine overdose. And you'll see people who have died from using the topical anesthetics that are currently on the market.
Oh my gosh. And you decided to go the organic route. Why did you go that route?
A little history on lidocaine and my competitors, right? Back in the day, in the Coca-Cola days, right? They used to take Coke and put it in Coca-Cola, right? Cocaine, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In dentistry, they did the same thing. They would take cocaine, put it in your mouth, try to numb the area prior to a procedure. That cocaine was too addictive, right? Hey, we can't use this. People keep coming back for appointments a little bit too much. Let's cut this out. So they took cocaine, they synthesized it in the lab, and they came up with lidocaine, pilocaine, benzocaine, right? All the cousin canes that you hear, right? That's what I call them, the cousin canes. And when you up the dosages with pharmaceuticals, when you compound them, also you have to have an RX. And it makes the soluble. So it enters the skin, the bloodstream, and then you overdose. Like you might as well take a kilo to the nose and just, it's pretty much the same thing what they're doing. So you have to be very careful with what's out there, especially on the pharmaceutical. And if they're not following compliance, they're getting shipped over from.
Oh, that's awful.
So that was a big part of Painless Picasso's mission. Our business There's a business to business and a business to customer. So we're going to target tattoo artists, waxing salons, micropigmentation, microblading, laser treatment centers, right? All these variety of skin related industries
Electrolysis.
that deal with pain.
So they open the tube and
Yes.
they rub how much into the skin, and how long does it take before it goes into effect?
So you take the cream, you apply it to your skin, and you leave it on there for about half an hour to an hour, depending on the area, right? Like if you're getting your eyebrows done, there's no reason to go crazy. You leave it on for maybe a half an hour. The efficacy of it is dependent on how long you leave it and the amount. It can last upwards of 3 to 5 hours.
Great.
You know, so if you apply a decent amount of it, it's going to last.
And it doesn't interfere with the ink or any of the stencil, nothing like that.
So I've tried it on numerous consenting clients, right? And we have the reviews. And again, we're continuing to improve it.
So,
right?
So listeners, all the links will be in the show notes. You want to follow Jaime everywhere he glows, and also track how Painless Picasso does, because this is very fascinating, especially if you've been afraid to get a tattoo because of the pain. Now you know you can use this safe and organic product that will help make the experience easier. And for those of you who are looking to go do that leg or arm sleeve, it's going to make it a lot easier for you. Jaime, I am so grateful that you came on the show and enlightened us and took us through your incredible lived experiences, not just as a tattoo artist, but as a firefighter and now a business owner of a startup. It's just so exciting, everything you're doing. Thank you for sharing your beautiful ink stories with us and your INKspirational insights about the art of tattoos and tattoo artists and the heart behind your tattoo journey and your new product journey. You have helped us connect more deeply with each other throughout this conversation. It's an honor to know you and meet you and have this time with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Ande. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure. You have a wealth of knowledge, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. However we can work together and however I can be of service to what you're doing, I'd love to talk more for sure.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Ink Story. Please rate and review this podcast wherever you are tuning in. And if this episode inspired you, please share it so we can all feel more connected through our common humanity and lived experiences. If you or someone you know would like to share a meaningful ink story on the podcast, please send me an email, ande@yourinkstory.com, along with a brief description. Feel free to share your thoughts about this episode via a voicemail message by visiting yourinkstory.com. And when you get to the website, just tap the podcast mic icon located in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and leave your message. Until next time, I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Cheers.